In these sessions, we're going to talk about how to create accessible PowerPoint presentations. There's a few points to take note when we want to create accessible PowerPoint. First of all, think about the text in the slides that we use, and then the structure of the slides, the images and multimedia that we use in the slides, and the color contrast of the slides. Let's go to each point and explore a little bit more. First of all, text. To meet the Accessibility Regulation 2018, it is advisable that we use sans serif fonts, for example Arial and Calibri, in our PowerPoint presentations. The font size for the heading should be within 36 to 44 pixels, and the body text is about 24 to 28 pixels. For example, in here, our heading is using Calibri font with 36 pixels, and the body text is using Calibri fonts 24 pixels. And we also recommend to use maximum 6 to 8 lines of text per slides, and to finish sentences and bullet points with full stop or semicolons. The next thing we need to consider is the structure of our slide. It's very important that your slide structure is communicated clearly to the readers so that they can get a really quick overview of what information is on the slide. To convey that information to users, first of all, we should give each slide a unique and descriptive title of heading. Screen reader users rely on slide titles or headings to navigate through the presentations. Very often, what we do is we create a blank slide and then we insert a text box. And use that as the heading of the slide. Unfortunately, screen reader cannot recognize this as heading and therefore cannot communicate this information to their users. So what we need to do instead is to use one of the PowerPoint pre-existing slide layouts. This is the tools that PowerPoint included to help screen readers to interpret your slides in the way you intended. So go to Home tab and select New Slide. These are the pre-existing slides that you can choose. Choose one of them with title as your heading. That way, screen reader will be able to communicate that information to their users. Secondly, we should also make sure the reading order of our slide is set in the right way. To a sighted user, the order of items on a PowerPoint might seem obvious. Start at the top and work your way down. But screen readers don't always read slide elements in the order you would expect, and this can be confusing for users with a vision or reading disability. The simplest way to ensure proper reading order on a slide is again use one of the PowerPoint's pre-existing slide layouts. So go back to Home and then select New Slide. And all of this layout is built in the right reading order for a screen reader. Pick a layout and add a text or a picture or other contents to the slide, and that would be in the right reading order. But what if you really need a custom slide, or you have already modified a slide and you need to fix its reading order? You can set the reading order manually with the Selections pane. To open the Selection pane, go to Home and then go to Arrange. and in the drop-down menu, choose Selection pane. The selection pane will open to the right of your slide. When you select an item in the selection pane, PowerPoint select that item in your slide. For example, title would select the title. The selection pane shows your item in the reverse order of how a screen reader will read them. Items are read from bottom to top. We can test the reading order by selecting the slide and press Tab. Every time we press Tab, the focus jumps to the next elements in the slide. To change the order, all you need to do is to drag the item you want to move to its new spot. For example, we move Picture Placeholder 4 to be the first item. So now if we tap the order, you can see that it goes to the Picture Placeholder 4 first, and then go to Title, and then Placeholder 2, and then Placeholder 3. That's how you test and set the reading order. Next thing to consider is our images and multimedia that we use in our slide. We should use alternative text in our images, chart, or tables. And the images, chart, and table should be on their own slide. Try to avoid sound, animations, and transitions if they are not essential. If you have to use them, try to use a simple transitions. To add alt text to images, for example, what we need to do is go to the image, select the image, right-click, and select Format Picture, and go to Signs and Properties tab, and select alt text and give it a title and descriptions. If this image is purely decorative, you can leave it blank. For chart, we do the same. We select the chart, and you can see that if you leave the right panel opened, it will automatically save the alt text for the last images. And what we need to do is to click on the Signs and Properties again, and then select alt text and give it a title and descriptions. The same as in table. So we select the table, and then we click on Signs and Properties, and then we also give it a title and descriptions. It is very important that the description should be clear and descriptive to convey the message the image is representing. This is especially important in tables and charts. For example, you might want to describe what information this table is trying to convey, instead of just saying, this is a table. For more information on how to write a good descriptive alt text, there's a lot of information on the internet about it, or you can also refer to our accessibility website in e-learning 2 website. The last point we want to consider is the color contrast. The Accessibility Requirements 2018 requires that the color contrast of the foreground and background color has to be greater than 4.5 to 1, and large text and graphical elements has to be greater than 3 to 1. The best way to ensure your slides meets the requirements is to use a pre-existing accessible slide template. To find the accessible slide template, go to File, and then go to New, and then type in Accessible. This would display a selection of slide templates that are accessible, and they are categorized in different categories. To find one, go to a category, for example, Education, and then we want to do a presentation. All these pre-existing slide templates are accessible with the right color contrast and reading order. I can click on any of these and it will open with information about when to use this template. This one, for example, says that it's suitable for academic presentations and it includes options for charts, table, diagrams, and more. It also says this is an accessible template. I can click on the Create button to have the PowerPoint set things up. Then it will open a slide deck ready for me to enter my information. So as you see, it has most of the layout that we need for teaching and learning. It has a chart, table, and smart art, for example. If, for example, you do not like this theme, you can always change it to a new one, which is also accessible. So what you need to do is go to Design, and then select a theme that you like, for example this, and apply the changes. So you have changed a theme, and all the themes under this design is accessible. Alternatively, you can also download and use the university PowerPoint template. To do so, go to Stuff Essential and select Marketing Portal. Log in with your university login. And then in here, find University Templates and then go to Blended Applications Documents and select either Microsoft PowerPoint Basic Template or Full Template. This is what a university template looks like. It is accessible with the right color contrast and reading order, and you can go to New Slides, as we said before, to select any of this layout to create your presentations. Finally, after we go through all the slides and make them accessible, we can use the built-in accessibility checker tool in the PowerPoint to find any missing accessibility issues and to make sure that our slides are accessible. Accessibility checker can be found under File, Check for Issues, and click on Check Accessibility. The inspection result will be displayed in the right panel. For example, in here it says Slide 6 is missing the slide title. This is because I have created this title with a text box and make the text bold and with bigger font. Just like what we mentioned before, screen readers will not be able to pick this up as the title of this slide. That's why it's been detected as missing a slide title. Go through all the errors and fix them, and you will have an accessible PowerPoint. However, unfortunately, no automated tools can catch all issues. Manual checks may still be needed for some items. For example, in here, we need to manually check the reading order to make sure that it is in the right order. So, we have discussed a few tips of creating an accessible PowerPoint presentation. But sometimes trying to catch everything that's covered in a live presentation can be difficult. And depending on the nature of your presentation, sometimes there's only so much you can do to make your slides accessible. So it's always helpful to save and export your presentation in an alternative format. So go to File and go to Export and export it as PDF or a Word document handout. This alternate format can be ported to a screen reader or read on a personal device like a smartphone, which in turn will benefit all students, not just students with disability. For more information on how to make sure the converted Word or PDF documents is accessible, Please refer other videos about accessible Word documents and PDF in this series, or follow this link and visit the Accessibility website in e-learning 2 site. Thank you.